It's the 3rd of June 2022, and it's been a year since I've started to record all this. And today on the radio I heard something like this, that it is considered like that we are over here, we are among the fattest people in, I think, Europe, and they talk something about like fatness or something, being fat or something like that, overweight generally, probably. And I've heard the same thing about maybe 10 years ago or 11 years ago or something like that. Actually, I think I read it in the newspapers, and today I hear it on the radio again. So let me tell you something about that. Number one, who gave a shit about fatness like 30, 40 years ago, or in the how do you say, like communist bloc? You know, people were working at the fields. Today, I don't find anybody in the fields anymore. I don't there the villages full of people. At least in communism, there were people in the village doing something, working, just living their lives, and this is it. You know, some of them are richer, some of them are poorer, but everybody worked. Everybody had a little bit of his own garden or orchard. Today, I find empty space over there because of the economic bullying. So you want to go into the European Union, for example, you want to go into Europe. Well, you motherfucker better be like me, like I tell you to do. You look like me, you think like me, and you become exactly like me. You can't be yourself. You have to live like me, you motherfucker. This is what came from Europe. This is all that I know. And now they are talking about fatness of our people. Now let me tell you something else. In 2005, I've been somewhere abroad, and I had a roommate who is from South Africa. And she was mulatkinja. I don't know how do you say this in English, but mulatkinja is something who has one parent black, another parent white. Her mother was white, like paper, actually. And her father was a black man, the African man. And she told me, basically, well, we were just roommates, and she told me that, well, since she came to Europe, and she lost maybe 10 kilos or something, you know, she just worked and lost some weight, blah, blah, blah. And she said that, and I've also noticed, you know, that people were coming to her, oh, hello, how are you? Not just a general stupid courtesy, but, oh, you've lost some weight, oh, well done, oh, how good for you. Like this is some kind of great achievement that she lost maybe 10 kilos or something. And I remember she told me this: why are European people so worried about other people's weight? You know, in my country, all women are big, all women are fat, so what? And nobody gives a shit. This one is fat, this one is thin, and who fucking gives a shit? But no, if you want to go to European Union, you have to be, first of all, you have to be a zombie to follow the government leads. And secondly, this is first, and the secondly, you must even look like skeleton, walking, talking skeleton. Then I remembered, I just laughed, but I knew the problem that was the problem from before, that when I lived in England, before the 2005, before that, they only talk about their fucking weight, Those who were, let me tell you what I think the history of that, what the history of that is. In the aristocracy, they had to look wonderful in order to marry well, to marry rich. But if you marry rich, you have nothing fucking to do. Aristocracy and the rich people, they have nothing fucking to do. They only sit, they drink tea, they eat a cake, but only one. God forbid if it's two. They only are worried about their own vanity and stupidity. None of them had to go somewhere. Well, they had servants, Just stop being servants for the stupid bastards. Let them go into the field. If you want to pick an apple or, some kind of fruit, a pear or a lemon, why don't you go and pick it up yourself, But, they were very worried, what will the people say? And how will you look on the fucking outside? I don't give a shit how you look on the outside, what kind of shoes you wear, for as long as, your appearance is honest and clean and clear. But this is, I will sound a little bit old-fashioned, but this is the basis of the culture of today in the whole world, actually, as I see it. And the basis is like some kind of demon or a devil or something like that. Because I can't explain this in a different way. To cause envy, you have to be like me or drop dead, you stupid fucking swine. To cause envy or jealousy or division among people, this is the devil's work. This is not God's work or my great-grandmother's work, I remember when I was a child, a very small child, maybe in the kindergarten, all women who were 40 years or more, they were a little bit fat, some of them were very, very fat, but they still went to work. They still had a job. They still had a life. They still had, they lived their lives. Some of them had 3 or 4 children. I don't know. But who gives a shit? And if your doctor tells you, don't eat sugar or don't eat too much bread, of course, if you respect yourself, then you will avoid eating sugar or cake or something else, He tells you don't eat meat too much or don't eat bacon or something like that. If you love yourself, if you respect yourself at least a little bit, you will stop doing that. You will control yourself. It's not true that you can't control yourself. And this is one of the things that we got from the European Union. You have to look like me. You have to do what I tell you. You have to accept everything I give you. Who the fuck are you? And what good for you is in me or in my country? No, they're not trying to make your your life better or your country better. They're just looking to export their food. We don't have any food for ourselves. You know, I already spoke about this. The shops are full of terribly expensive bio products. Who the fuck needs a bio product? When before we joined the European Union, before the European bullshit, we had our own gardens. We had villages full of people who basically worked there. You know, you have your small garden and you have I don't know, maybe a few salads and a few cabbages and your own potato. But no, you can't have it today. You have to be the fucking slave of the fucking money. And this is what they are trying to do in the future. To make people run out of the villages, then buy, I already spoke about that too, then buy the empty land for €2. You know, he buys 50 acres of land for €2. It's a stupid, shitty, worthless. And then you don't even know what is going on in your country, on your land, in your country. As far as I can remember, we had a war around here. We were dying to have better lives. People were dying. It doesn't matter if it's a tribal war, if it's a economic war or some kind of war, but people were dying to have a better life. And I remember one more thing. When Nigel Farage wanted to drag the Great Britain out of the European Union, when he appeared, I don't know what year was that, when he appeared actually in Brussels somewhere in their parliament, wherever it is, and one woman protested. She was from Poland, Polish woman, and she said, "But we joined the European Union to have better lives." And immediately, you know, Nigel Farage smiled. And I thought immediately, who are you from Poland to talk about better lives? The moment Poland went into the European Union, you know, there were so many Polish people running outside of your country. Maybe 1 million people ran from Poland to have a better life. To run from your own country, to have a better life, to be somebody else's worker, servant, robot, a fucking idiot, is not a better life. It's a bullshit life, maybe a year or two or something like that, and then you come back. But when you come back, it's all the fucking the same. It's not always the problem in the people's primitivism and things like that. People can't be primitive for thousands of years. If one man lives for 500 years, he can't be a primitive bastard for 500 years. Well, there is something that will click in his mind. Oh, I've been doing that the wrong way. Let me try something else in those 500 years. But people don't live 500 years. Poland is in the European Union for a few decades. I don't know. So I was wondering, yes, and I even heard from one Polish girl that basically somewhere in the beginning of the 2000s, there were so many Polish people in Ireland that they actually had their own newspapers in their own language. Of course, it's allowed. Nobody forbids you to do something like that. But you talk about better lives when 500,000 people live only in Ireland. Where are the Irish people? Who the hell knows? Basically, they are dragging us into, how shall I say this? They're preparing us, actually. This is the preparation for some time in the future. You will do what I say. You will look like I tell you to do. You will eat what I give you to eat. And it's some kind of, it's actually worse than fascism. It seems like the Jews, they died in the Holocaust. There were thousands of Jews who died in the Holocaust. Like, for what? For what? We are coming back into all this shit again. But this time very slowly. Plus, let me tell you another story. There is a guy, but basically he has some kind of political party over here. It's not very, like, I don't know, like very, not to say very popular, but it's not a leading kind of party, you know. But he told me that when he was very young, he went to work in Germany, and he was like a caretaker of some kind of an old man. He was, I don't remember, he was 96 or 94 years old, something like 96 or 94. And since he spoke German, he asked him, well, you know, you lived during the Hitler's time, and can you, he was very interesting to know, what was it like when Hitler was in Germany, when he was alive? You were there. Can you tell me something about those times? And the old man, he probably told him all kinds of stories, but he smiled, you know, and said, we made it without one bullet. So when 20 years ago, it was the plan. But it was, at that time, even at that time, it was wrong to underestimate everybody else's intelligence. Well, let's wait. And we have lots of smart people, scientists and all that. Let's explore the market and the psychology of the people. Of not people, but peoples in plural. Let's open ourselves and show us ourselves like as friends, right? Don't you find it in your private life too? Oh, I can't believe he's a serial killer. He was our next door neighbor. You find it fucking everywhere. I remember when I was a child, those stupid like child molesters and bullshit people. I always had some kind of like antenna in my head for, how shall I say this, for the wickedness in the people, you know? And but I don't know, maybe some other children didn't. And you know, I know all these wicked people, twisted in their heads, you know, with the twisted minds, with the abnormal behavior, with the violent behavior. I could even smell this person is not good. But he behaves on the outside, and all the adults believe him. And I couldn't, even as a child, I couldn't understand why the grown-ups, the grown-up people, they're grown-ups, they're like my mother or my grandfather. Why do they all bow to human stupidities? Why do they trust people? Why do they put their trust into somebody's stories? You know, I couldn't explain this to myself. And then it comes like, oh, you must, oh, it's a bad manner to do this, to do that. You must, and must. This is always must. No, I don't. Must doesn't exist. And I couldn't believe, are you stupid or are you lying to yourselves? It's probably the second one. You are lying to yourself, or you are expecting some kind of courtesy in the future. From what? From a serial killer, from a violent guy, from a pedophile, or anybody like that. Who gives a shit, I met, then when I was much older, of course, I met so many highly educated people for whom I think they should not live at all, because they're just using their, good jobs or good positions, or this is a classical story. I didn't notice this yesterday. You didn't notice this yesterday. You know that all people, the more you give them power, the more there is a greater possibility that they will become, they will show their real faces actually. This is why they wanted the high position. This is why they wanted to be in the politics or in the business or a lawyer or some kind of teacher in college, some kind of hotshot. I don't remember. I don't really know. Some kind of face on the place, important VIP bullshitter. This is why he wanted that, or a she, but usually it's a he. Because, male nature is a little bit different from the female nature, They like to give commands. They like to have the world, it will be my way, not your way. Even if you marry a guy, any kind of guy, doesn't matter, He will try to command you. And this is it. This is male nature. He was the first created on earth, first created Adam. And how dare you being female and look for your, ask for your rights, ask for your intelligence, ask for your freedom. How dare you stupid bitch. I was the first one created. That is the problem of the failed Adam. Of course, God knew it will be like that. So, there are different ways of paying, like you have to pay for that. And as a female, I'm talking about females, there are different ways of paying for that. Like I have, this is the behavior of that I, as a female, have some kind of a debt to, the man, the males. What kind of debt I have? And as I said already before, since he bit the apple, of course, they both bit the apple, but since he bit the apple, he's just invented the ways of the females, of Eve, the females, how to repay the debt, because he was there first. He was created first. First of all, I don't owe you any explanation for anything. Eve knew very well that she had a choice. Eat the apple or don't. Why did you use your choice then? You did the same thing, so shut the fuck up. This is the first thing. She knew she had a choice. And secondly, who are you to tell me how to live my life, how to control me, to tell me what to do with my children and how to do it? If I need an advice, I will ask you. I understand that some people are more, let's say, primitive than the other ones. I understand that some people are retarded, some people are genius. I can understand that. But it's not your job to use that if I'm a stupid one, or if the child is small. So he is the stupid one. It's not my job to accept everything from you. It is your job to help me out, to live my life normally and freely. And I don't have to put up with, well, anybody's shit, not yours, but anyone's shit. And it goes both ways, of course. So the best way that I'm talking about the failed Adam, the fallen man. The best way for a male human being he invented the best way of paying the debt. Everything will be paid by a woman's pussy, a woman's vagina, right? Because since he bit the apple, it's always her fault, but she'll be paying everything with her vagina. He imposed the rules for her value by her, vaginal abilities to have children or not to have children, to be everybody's hooker. Why do you have whores? Why do you have prostitution? Generally, I'm talking about generally in the world. Why do you have prostitution in the world? It's so-called, it's like illegal, but basically it's not. For as long as you have needs to fuck somebody, you will have hookers everywhere. So come on. Oh, but the problem is, the diseases and of course, the hatred towards women. Why should you, and why shouldn't you do this? Because they're like the lowest of the low, except for the expensive hookers. But why shouldn't you do that? Or why should you do that? So he is in a kind of dilemma, But how many of women do you know in high positions who basically they do the same thing, but they just have a little bit more money, a little bit more, how shall I say this, responsible jobs, some kind of different functions in the society. They basically do the same thing. Don't tell me you're going to church or to the mosque or something like that. Oh yes, you are kneeling in front of God every 5 minutes. No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. So shut up. You are a slave of the money too. And bitches like that, and stupid failed Adams like that, tell me how shall I look like, what should I eat, what should I wear, how should I behave? I don't give a shit. It turns out that this is only, let me go back to the beginning, about talking about our people like among the fattest in the Europe, Let me go back to the beginning. This is the preparation of the slavery in the future. The slavery that will involve food and that will leave us as slaves. As I already said in one of my previous videos, it is their plan to make the concentration camps. They received many refugees, of course, from I don't know which countries. It doesn't matter what countries they come from. And when they cause bullshit, They will all send them here, somewhere over here, as they did when they planned the Third Reich, when they planned, when Hitler was alive, actually, they had plans. They built concentration camps, of course, in Poland, of course, in the Eastern Bloc, because Slavic people are stupid fucking idiots. Of course, in Poland, they built it in my country. They had some of them in Germany, I think. And this is it, and this is the plan for the future. Everybody who is shit, who is nobody, will end up in some kind of... This is why they needed to buy our land for €2. To build some kind of camps. They will call them, oh, we are so humane, this is the 21st century, blah, blah, blah. This is the poor people's camp, or the homeless camp, or the poor refugee camp, They will invent any kind of a name. And you have to believe in it, You have to believe in everything what government tells you. And but basically there will be some form of working camp or a concentration camp. And this is what they wanted from, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago. I really don't know. This is why it was important to accept countries like Romania. I was always puzzled with that, because the Romanians had nothing during Ceausescu, nothing. They only had themselves and a little bit of, food and family that they had. And I was always wondering how come they went so early in the European Union, There are many others who are, economically speaking, better than them, but they got vast, how shall I say, empty land for their own purposes, for genetically modified bullshit food, for their own. It was cheap. It was very cheap to buy land at that time. That was maybe 20 years ago. Everything was like nothing. But let me tell you something. I only found maybe 1 or 2 products made in Bucharest or something like that, made in Romania. What do these people live from then? They are in the European Union, and European Union is economic union. It's not the country of origin. The country of origin, and it says EU. To me, it could be something like Chernobyl. I don't want to eat this food. And this is what they are trying to do. They will export the poison and poisoned food, like they did with Nutella. Nutella that was for our market, for the Eastern European market, let's say ex-communist countries, that is for our market. It has like 20 or 30% hazelnuts less than the ones in Germany, than the ones in Switzerland, for example. Oh, they won't export Nutella, bullshit Nutella in America, but they will over here. Because the Slavic people are always bullshit people, for everybody. This is not secret. It was like 20 years ago, 50 years ago, and it's still like that. Only a little bit different because we opened our borders. And what does it mean that Ukraine wants to go into the European Union? Yes, there is a political thing, number one, but there is a gas thing, the Gazprom, There is how shall I say this? Well, a military thing, of course. I spoke about that too, because how can you expect the capital of Russia Moscow, to be so close to the European Union if Ukraine goes into the European Union. So how can you expect Moscow to be so close? You can have projectiles aimed directly to hit Moscow without, you fought 2 times or 3 times. It's like you fought 3 times and there goes Moscow. That's it. No more Moscow. And let me tell you something else. Oh yes, about fatness. How dare you speak about how people should look like? We don't share your vanity. We might share your products and act like, oh, this one is better than the other one. And that is the basics, or the basic problem of this earth. When we started to believe that this one is better than the other one, I am better than you, la 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 la. Well, I'll give you 2 or 3 slaps and you won't be better than me. Get the fuck out of my life. One more important thing. I remember when I was in school, I was the 1st grade of high school, I think. And somebody told me that the word Slavic people, comes from the word in Latin, which means Slavus, which means slave. And I couldn't comprehend that. Why should millions of people be like a slave? And until I realized it doesn't mean a slave. It doesn't come from the Roman Empire. Maybe the Romans thought it was a slave, but it isn't. It comes from the word slava, which means glory. And there is another thing from the 1st grade of high school. Actually, this was in the 2nd grade of high school. When we went to the 2nd grade, and it wasn't a normal 2nd grade, because it was a war, and we finished the whole school year in 2 months. We finished it basically, who stayed alive finished it. And I remember how one of my teachers, I think she was the teacher of economy, or of something like that, but I can't tell you for sure now, that she said that, well, everybody in Europe, in the Western Europe, they're trying to get all Europe together, like we will all form something together within this European Union. It's like a body of its own, but we are all together. And the first thought that came into my head, and I asked my teacher, well, isn't it going to be like Yugoslavia? Nobody loves anybody. I mean, the Italians and the Germans and the French, the Italians never spoke. They were so lazy to learn one stupid English language. They want tourists, but they want tourists to, they want tourists to spend the money, and the French too, The French are even worse from back then. I remember from back then, they were even worse. They didn't want to, for example, speak English, but they want the English people to come, American people to come into their country and spend their money. But they don't know how to communicate. They don't give a shit about English language. They don't give a shit about you, actually. They give a shit about money. And I remember that I asked this question, and my teacher said, well, we don't know, we'll see. What do you mean we'll see? 10 million people will die and then you will see. Do you people have brains? Yes, you have universities, but you don't have brains. You are just servants of some kind of stupid plan that is going on actually in front of your eyes and in front of your nose. But it's like in my country today, people can't find. There are jobs actually, but people can't find more good jobs, like better lives, like this Polish woman said in Brussels, better lives. What fucking better lives? We live the same like we did in communism, but we only have a lot more supermarkets and a lot more debts in the banks. Or when you go into the bank, it looks like a marble shrine to the god of money, It doesn't look any different anywhere. And the people are more like robotic, than, 30, 40 years ago. They don't want to help anybody else. Go and find your own place in the world, I don't give a shit about you. It's not 100% like that, but it has become like that. It's becoming, actually. It's in the present, becoming. And it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. Why do you people serve some kind of stupid idea? It's like from the devil. And I wanted to say that in the present time, they're only advertising in some kind of way. Go work a job in Germany, a job in Austria. It's like you go to Austria and you find a job within 5 minutes. You go to Germany, they're looking for some kind of workers. I don't know, this worker, that worker, what fucking workers? They're looking for slaves in order to maintain their own image on the outside, like they're the best, the most humane, the most wonderful country, or the most wonderful people in the world, or something like that. I mean, they had to as well as Holland from long time ago, they all legalized prostitution. You know why? Well, because of course the woman has a vagina, and a vagina will pay for everything, for your economic prosperity. My vagina is not your economic prosperity. My vagina is created to, first of all, for life. Because women have, women have babies, of course, for motherhood. First of all, for that, and secondly, for enjoyment. So if a man is forbidden to enjoy, well, let's castrate every man in the world. In that case, we will have, first of all, no population, and secondly, why don't you suffer a little bit, huh? Why should my sister or mother or niece suffer because of somebody's stupidity? I also remember when I was very young and the Berlin Wall fell, and there were so many thousands of people, millions of people actually. They were so happy about, they expected that it will be, well, like the woman said from Poland, better lives. They expected better lives. They expected more. They expected a better job, maybe, not to be told what to do all the fucking time from I don't know, policeman comes and bullshits something. A government comes and bullshits something. Somebody from somewhere comes and bullshits something from some kind of communist party. They always bullshit you about something. But we saw over the past 30 years or something like that, let's say, yes, the past 30 years, we saw that it's only, of course you will work like you worked over there, but we saw that this is just an illusion. We saw that basically I don't live in Russia, but I remember hundreds of stories about how they lured the Russian girls, the Eastern European actually the Eastern European girls, the Russian girls, thousands of them, into the Western countries, that includes Canada and America. They lured them to go there, and then they took their passports, and then they usually beat them up, raped them, and told them to prostitute themselves, and they were usually good girls who wanted a better life, and they ended up like street whores. I've heard many stories like that. I really did. So basically, I think there were some movies about that too. Basically, that was the freedom. Go west. It's peaceful there. What do you mean? It's peaceful? What do you mean it's peaceful? It's peaceful because you had colonies, because you steal from somebody else, because you're fucking crooks. Like, I've never seen something like that before. I've seen it maybe somewhere in American movies. Oh, by the way, the American culture. I remember when I was 19 when I went to America for the first time, and I remember that many people told me, women actually, girls, they told me that when they came to America, they were maybe in a hotel or something. And I remember one story, actually, from somebody. I don't remember what was the girl's name, but she told me that she had some terrible fears about the Americans. That someone will come. She was in a hotel on the 6th floor, and she was afraid that somebody will come through the window and kill her or rape her. And this is what your movies made. This is the reputation, actually, that your movies made about yourselves. I remember many stories about, girls coming to America, women. And I remember many stories like that they had. I was afraid too. I remember I was at JFK airport in New York, and I was afraid. I was really afraid because nobody waited for me there. And plus, they gave me the wrong address, so I had to investigate what was the address I had to go to. But no, it wasn't some kind of scam or prostitution. I had a job waiting for me there. So in this video for you. I guess I was one of the lucky ones from the ex-Eastern countries, But many, as I recall these stories, many of the Russian girls were not. It seems to me like the Western world was yearning for a foreign pussy, so to speak. You didn't have one of your own over there, or you were tired of your own ones. So let's get rid of the old ones. Oh, here are the new ones. They don't even speak our language. It doesn't matter. I can just kill her and leave her who knows where, and who gives a shit? And this is what men actually think about the females, generally, the women, females of the world. This is what they think about the females. You are here because of me or for me. So shut the fuck up. So if you don't want to, I will invent a religion that will make me able to do it legally, normally. This is normal for you. It's normal for me too, but it's normal for you too. Fuck off. Why? Plus, let me tell you something else. I have a friend who lives in Canada, and basically it was very hard for her to go to Canada. And then when she went there, it was one bullshit after another. I mean, it's okay for her, but she's constantly... It's not such a wonderful country. I mean, they do respect the law and everything. You can find a job, it's like that. But from what she told me, and she finished college actually, she finished university. And from the stories that she told me, I remember I told her, I was listening to her about this, about that, about, generally life where she is, somewhere in Alberta, I think. I'm not sure. And I remember I told her, listen, for now I've been listening to you for many months. And from what I hear from you, it would be better that you stayed here than left to Canada to go through all these troubles and bullshit and this and that. For what? In Canada, you only have a double salary. In here, you would have actually you had the same life here like you have now in Canada. So if you come back, you would have the same life here. Only 50% of the salary. And that's it. That's what I told her. From what I hear from you, why did you go there then? Plus, I didn't know that when you want to rent a place in Canada, it usually goes without furniture. So I told her, man, you are like 38 years old, almost 40 years old, and you still sleep on the, what is this in English? You still sleep on a, self-inflating bed. How do you say this in English? I don't know. It's not a normal bed. It's a bed, some kind of plastic. It's like a big balloon. I don't know how to explain this. And I'm too lazy to search for the word. On Google, the king of the world, Google. Google wouldn't be as powerful as it is if somebody from the US government didn't give them some kind of backup or help or some kind of request to order some kind of services from them and pay them really, really well to stay the main manipulator of the world, to provide the services, of course, to provide services, wonderful services, to make everything quicker. But to be the great manipulator of the world, to be the great, how shall I say this? The great, yes, the manipulator, but it's also monopoly, to have the monopoly over, well, everybody else in the world, of course. You wouldn't be able to do that without your government's help. Yeah, everything is business. So is the human life. But listen, my life is not a function. My life is life. So this is all what I wanted to tell you in this video. I really got pissed off about this fatness thing. I agree. It's not very healthy to be 30 kilos overweight. It's not really very healthy. But listen to me. If you don't go outside, work in orchard, work around the house, work in the field somewhere, milking the cows like people lived for thousands of years. If you want to stay in front of the Google screen and what Google tells you, oh, it's all true. If you want to stay in the big city and have, problems because of the money, because only if you have money you can have servants, you can buy things and have servants, a baker, a store, a hairstylist. I can't understand that people are so stupid that they have to dye their hair in a hairstyle salon. Salon, how do you say that? I dyed my hair at the hairstyle salon maybe 2 times, yes, I think 2 or 3 times in my life, but I think it was 2 times. All the rest I did it for myself. And the more money, the more servants. Well, what if there are no servants? What if they all go home? What if all of them go home and just don't want to, huh? Oh, you will invent something else. This is why governments exist. Just like my friend who went to Canada told me, yeah, there are many positive things about living in Canada, but they're so fucking stupid about government things. What government says, it's like the law. There is no other law. There is no God in this world. There is only what the government says, and you will do that. This is what they are like. And this sounds to me like they have a Hitler, and they listen to just another Hitler. If the government says, you must have a chip in your head, because every time you have to be obedient to me, available to me, you are my servant, you have to do what I tell you to do. Somebody from the government says something like that. They will do that because they've been introduced into that kind of stupidity. And now they actually teach people about the holograms, huh? You won't even have in the future your own imagination to imagine things, to create things. This is what they want to destroy within people, the godly nature of people. That is the essence of life. And the essence of life is creating. My name is Hitler. You will do what I tell you to do. No, he doesn't have to be called Adolf Hitler. He can be called Chumbawamba. I don't know what. Gigi Meiji, whatever. He can be called the holy fart of the world. And it will always be a he, but a he to promote himself as I am the best, I am humane, I do things for you, blah, blah, blah. He will need a woman's voice. He will need a woman to present himself like in a better manner. Bullshitism of the Western world. As I already said in one of my previous videos, I realized a long, long time ago that what is called democracy is a dead letter on a piece of paper. And this is all from me for today. Oh, these videos will be listened and watched in the future. But there won't be internet anymore in a few years. So I don't know what you will do. I really don't know. But I believe that there is one creator of all universes, not of the universe, one universe, but all universes. And that he does miracles. And I won't let myself be fooled. So good night. This is all for today.